Welcome, lovely one, to the Meant for More podcast. My name's Lisa Clifford, and I am building the world's most empowering Meant for More movement, leading millions of heart-led purpose seekers from feeling insignificant to invincible. So I truly hope you enjoy this next episode. Welcome to the Meant for More podcast, and in this next episode, I hope you enjoy our conversation. I am with Laura Stack, who is a video coach. She helps business owners, entrepreneurs, or anybody that needs to get their message, their passion, their product in front of camera. She helps them stop faffing about. And I can so relate to that. When I was doing my first ever video, I think it took me 3 days and 45 takes to get an outcome I was barely happy with. And the more I faffed, the worse I got. So I know there is a need for what Laura does and her expertise. And also what I love about the way Laura works is she wants people to be authentic and show up as themselves. So I hope you enjoy our conversation. Lovely Laura.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today, because I've been wanting to chat with you for a while now, but we're here. And can we start with the first question? Well, it's better than the last one, isn't it? Would we be happy to share a moment or a time in your life where you felt you were meant for more, and what circumstance you were in at the time that made you think it and feel it, and then what did you think the more was, and where did it lead you to?
It's a really good question, and I've been thinking about it, and like for me, I do think it was less of a, I don't know, being hit and suddenly a realization. It was more a build-up of different things. And something that I was talking about recently with my partner was my first ever job. And I think that it was that and the accumulation of other things that made me want to search for a different route to kind of making a living. And so this first job that I had was delivering a newspaper round. I was 13 and there was a local newsagent, and so we'd get up, can't remember what time, 6 o'clock or 5:30, and there would be a round of about 25 papers. And I did this for a few months, but then the newsagents closed down, and I did it every day in the morning, all through the week, and Saturday and Sunday, because I didn't want to miss out on the better rate that you would get for Saturday and Sunday newspapers. So it was like 9p a paper in the week, and it was 15p on or it could have even been 25p on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So yeah, raking it in. But the newsagents closed down, and it then was taken on by someone else, like more of a remote company. There wasn't a physical place to pick up the paper. They would give you the paper round on your doorstep, and they started delivering in the afternoons. So I wasn't able to get up and before I went to school and do it. It was in the afternoons after school. And so I did it for a little while, but it prevented me from, because they had to be delivered say by 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening for when people were returning home from work. I wanted to stay at school. I wanted to do clubs. I wanted to do drama and all this kind of thing. Cheerleading I did at high school. So I wasn't able to do these rounds. And also this company that took it on started paying 50% the rate. So whereas I was being paid 9p per paper, it went to 4.5p per paper. And I had a round of about 20 paper, so you can see it wasn't exactly didn't stretch very far, this job that I had and the wages from it. Anyway, so I remember calling them and saying, I'm not going to even earn £5 a week doing this. I don't know if it's worth it. And they were like, oh, well, we'll always pay you a minimum of £6, even if the, round, because sometimes the round was like maybe 15 papers. It varied depending on the day. And they were like, well, you'll always get paid £6 a week. So I was like, okay, all right, as long as I know I've almost got like this fixed salary. But then the other side, like I said, was the fact that I wanted to stay after school. I was missing, clubs and stuff that I wanted to do. So I started looking for someone else to take on the round. And I had quite this like strong feeling of responsibility. I think that was probably instilled from my parents, like a very strong work ethic that I wouldn't just not go home and do the round or not show up one day. That I had this like strong sense of responsibility for it. So I found there was a boy that was the year below me that wanted to take on this paper round. So I so he would, I think, probably initially picked up the papers from my doorstep, and I could do whatever I wanted. I wasn't in it, but for a period of time, I was getting the wages into my bank account and having to pay him. And it transpired actually that the news agency were paying me £8. And so I was then giving £6 to the person that was doing the round, and keep pocketing this £2. It probably went on for like not even weeks or months, but I thought that was quite clever. And
Entrepreneurial.
yeah. But when I told my mum that that's what I was doing, she went crazy at me. Because I guess I knew that I didn't want her to tell me I had to give this boy the £8. So I made it look like I was being paid £6, or said that I was. So I don't know if she was more upset about the fact that I'd lied about it, or that I'd done it. And I really didn't think it was a bad thing that I'd done. I was the one that got the job at the newsagents and kept the job and was responsible for it. And without that contribution that I made, this other person wouldn't have the job, I guess. He didn't have the contact or whatever. So I didn't think it was that of a bad thing to do, but my mum really, really, really wasn't impressed with me, was quite upset with me that I would try to, I suppose, profit or take something off this boy's wages rather than give him the full £8 that I was making. So I guess there was a feeling of, I know that I'm a good person, I know that I'm a moral person, and I found this opportunity, I suppose, that I felt was fair, but I was made to feel like it wasn't, that I was doing something wrong by by using my brain in this way, or having this idea to do something, that it made me a terrible person, that I wasn't just happy to be to give all of my money away, or to just do the just get the minimum for like my effort, if that makes sense. And I think that that was probably the mindset that I grew up with, of you work for someone, and you work to what they tell you that you're worth, and you don't look for those opportunities. And so I think that was my first idea of where I probably felt like, surely this isn't it, like an £8 or a £6 newspaper round that prevents me from even living my life, just to have that little bit of extra. And then I carried on working jobs all the way through my teenage years, and it was a lot of the same, really. So that was it. And I think the fact that it was there was quite a few things that would have been considered the normal route to take, and maybe even for some the easy route to take, but I really resisted this idea of what was normal, or what was right,
Hang on a second. Lexi, my golden retriever, objects to not being in other conversations. Bear with me.
No problem.
It's not why I got a white sofa. So for anybody that's just listening and not watching, I've got in my garden studio room, she says, making it sound much grander than it is. Well, I love it. I've got a white sofa that does have a throw on it for anybody who's like, what? Who'd have anything white? Quite right. I've also got a white golden retriever who has to join me on everything that I do. Now I just give in. I just give in and just think, why resist? I mean, anybody that doesn't like a dog, who is that person? So she just blends in and sees the little brown eyes. So what I take from your story is it's in your bones, it's in your cells to be entrepreneurial. And one could say that you were a very young employer. So, and it's also interesting in the different perspectives you can have of the same situation. Your mum obviously had her perspective that was what she was brought up with. Going back, I probably could be old enough to be your mum. I've just started saying that to people out loud.
Oh, of course you can't, Lisa.
Back in my mum and dad's generation was you had a job for life. Like the Japanese culture where you get in with the company and you stay there forever, and the golden, the carriage clock and the watch, and that job for life. Whereas now we it's much more agile and fluid, isn't it? And some companies prefer people to move so that they get fresher and more resourceful thinking. So yeah, it's interesting how one could see it as entrepreneurial and forward thinking and giving people opportunities, because you were responsible for that paper round, regardless of whether it's a paper round or whatever it is. You were responsible for those papers being delivered. So your credibility was as good as the lad in the year below or above you at school. So how does that play out in who you are today then, that way of thinking? That way of, I would say maximizing opportunities, but what is your take on it? Because that's what I want to hear, not mine.
You know what? I suppose, like you said, it's kind of. I mean, that is how the economy works. That's how jobs work. You have a value that you bring to a company, and you have the value that they pay you. And if there is not a markup, a profit on that value, then the company's, it's not going to be able to run, right? There needs to be that. So that's how it works. I guess I wouldn't have thought that much at the time. And I guess you would feel like after that story that it would set me up for being an employer, but that's actually not really the route that I have taken. And maybe I still carry a bit of shame actually with this idea that, you get paid for something and you pay someone else and you take a slice of someone else's work. There might be in that. I would have to, I don't know, do a few sessions to see.
Just why wouldn't you have that? Why wouldn't you have that belief that if your mum has said, what? Your mum's belief of no, whatever that is, why wouldn't you have that belief? That's the way that we work, isn't it? The question is, and not that I'm going to coach you live on air where you end up feeling vulnerable.
Floods of tears, like.
Yeah, but the question is, do you like the way you work now? I think you do. You certainly look like you do, and it suits you and works for you. And would you want to employ somebody? And what would be your barrier to doing that? And but you definitely look to me like someone who has got the work-life balance, that you get to be completely you without having to over filter or think for other people that are working for you. So I think you look like you've come out of it pretty good. Anyway, sorry for interrupting.
Well, I think that the other side of it was that I was probably the bigger side of the maybe having a bit of that entrepreneurial mindset was that I was quite a high achieving person in the level of school and academics, and my parents were teachers, and I just had a natural I was naturally drawn towards that environment and education and learning. So more than I had this idea that I would be entrepreneurial, would be that I was somebody that was high performing or high achieving, or if you had a range of people, I might be in that top one based on, obviously, like, now I've lived more of life, there's lots more ways that your intelligence or your abilities can be based on, but at the time, and so I think the bigger side was, how can I keep pushing down that route of developing myself, and from that position be able to do something that's different. And actually, I don't think that that's the case at all. Like, I do think anyone that has a belief in themselves and the mindset to achieve something can do. But at the time, it came from the idea for me was, the more that I do to upskill myself, to learn something new, to explore my ideas, the more likely I'm going to be able to achieve success in my life, or have the kind of life that I want. And so I think that that idea is more was more dominant to what my business looks like, as opposed to what it could have looked like if I was more looking to be a business owner with employees, or an entrepreneur, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So just share with people, because right now I don't think they know who you are, what you do, how you live your life, what your priorities are. So paint a picture for us of what Laura's life is like.
So I'm Laura Jane Stack. My business name is the same. I don't have like a fancy kind of business name. I am what you would call a solopreneur. I help founders and business owners with video confidence, I suppose, is the best way to put it, as well as I actually I'm a video content creator myself. So I will work with founders and business owners that know that they want to become more influential, they want to become more in demand, and that is going to happen through video, which is the best way that you can be visible to people, and for them to see you, hear from you, connect with you, understand you and your ideas. And so the first thing that we would look at is this something that you want to manage yourself long term, or is this something that you have not so much the intention to do? And then we would look at how I could help them depending on that. So aside from my business, I'm also a mum of two girls. They are 6 and 3, so kind of quite in the thick of that initial bit of like parenting. One's still a preschooler. So it's definitely very flexi hours. I am, I guess, what you would call the primary parent, as in the one that's on call for stuff. My partner doesn't have the flexibility in his work, so he has to work set hours and set shifts. So it works well in that aspect. And then he is an extremely present parent as well. So while he is at home, I get the time to pick up bits of my the bits of the work that I've missed out. But it's definitely not a 9 to 5 style job.
Well, it also feels like too often we think of a job as being something that we go and do. And now in these days, and particularly through lockdown, we've learned to or allowed ourselves to have a job that blends in with our life, rather than our life blending in with that. And especially if you're self-employed, then looking at what's important to me, what do I want to be around for, how can I prioritize that, and how does my work fit with that, or how do I? So that is such a lovely way to live. And I am a massive fan of video. Oh, love doing video. It's become, I see it as a hobby. I mean, at the moment, I live by myself. And I say at the moment, and I'm saying like I'm whispering, like I've got somebody hostage somewhere. But that is soon to be the case. But my boyfriend is moving over from Australia and is due to arrive anytime in the next few weeks. So
Oh.
I'm massively capitalising on doing that, because I've lived on my own for 20 years. I've had my own business for 21 years. And so I'm massively capitalising on doing all the stuff I love doing unapologetically. So like I love, I'm on a bit of a mission at the moment with videos. I've loved editing and uploading and SEO and all of that. But I have found myself doing it in bed till 5 o'clock in the morning. One would say that's a problem.
That
Never mind Laura making some money on a paper round. That's a problem right there, Lisa. You know, when you're just doing something, you're in the flow and you think, oh God, my mind is in this flow. I need to just keep going. And so the other morning I was still doing something till 5 in the morning. And I've done that so often. But I think I'm doing it because I can, and time's running out until I'll be next to somebody in bed and I won't be able to put the big light on or eat a bag of crisps.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Well, I
video,
can't say
I love
I
video.
definitely understand the I'm exactly the same with the creative side and with the when you've just like when you're in the zone with something not wanting to stop. And actually having young children can be feel quite intrusive when that is your style of working.
Yeah.
Like I shared this clip from some work I did with a client the other day, and because it made me laugh because it's not the first time that it happened where she goes, "Oh, could I just go to the toilet, please? I just and could I get some water?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And it's because I'm so in the zone
Yeah.
that I forget that people need to have breaks and use the toilet and those kind of things. It's not because I'm a slave driver; it's because I'm just in the zone.
I'm like
So I
that with my
completely.
I'm like that with my 16-hour training days. What, you want lunch? That's just going to get in the way of what we're doing. We need to keep going.
Yeah.
Carry on.
um, but I love the fact that you love video because I feel like sometimes it seems the only people that are positive about video are people that, get paid for helping other people with their videos. But I think it's just in that box with other creative tasks that you could do. It's usually there isn't. I think some people have an idea that you're either going to be someone that loves writing or you love videos, as if it's like two separate things, but they are both forms of expression. They're both ways to get your message out, and they are both creative tasks. So actually, if you are a writer and love writing, you will also probably initially actually be, should be drawn to video, but there's other things that are getting in the way in terms of maybe your confidence or like mindset, things that make you think that you won't be good at this thing, or make you think, oh, I just like to, write and nobody see me. Actually, if you're a good writer, you would probably be great at making videos as well, because you've got that creative you'll have those creative ideas to put your videos together. So yeah, I think anyone that is creatively minded and struggling or thinking that they can't do videos, you're probably incorrect to believe that, because if you have a creative mind, you will definitely be good at videos. And it's probably the people that are less creative, maybe they're a little bit more like have that logical brain or the structural whatever. Obviously it doesn't mean that they can't also be good at videos, but it might not be something they're naturally drawn to. So that might be a good way of thinking, oh, is this something that I want to do but maybe outsource to somebody as much as possible, or is it something that I want to do myself because actually it's fun, and like you say, it can be fun, and learning kind of new skills, and finding different ways of editing something, and different software that you can use, and how you can edit and tweak things to get to this like output. Yeah, it's all fun if that's the kind of thing that you like to do.
It is. And I think when I'm looking to work with somebody, or if I'm I want to see a video. And if somebody's website doesn't have a video, and what I kind of, before speaking to, I thought, why is it? Because I always look for videos on people's websites. And I think, what is it that my nervous system wants to see or feel? And it's less about what are they saying? Is that correct? It's more about, do I feel that I'm seeing the real them? I do not want to see somebody being a newsreader version of themselves. I mean, I'm sitting upright right now, really straight, and having to force myself to, because naturally I'd be leaning over. So I am trying to sit. I'm trying to sit like a ballet dancer from the waist up. But so I love going on to people, and they don't have a video on their website, and I don't get to see who they are and feel who they are and move on. I just discount them, and they might be absolutely brilliant, but all I want to see is, can I see the heart of that person? If I can, I don't care if they're technically correct in what they're saying, or if they get the words mixed up, if the lighting's not very good. I just want to see somebody being genuine. And I think that's what video's great at. And quite often what I do with my videos is, because I'm better at speaking than I am at typing. And like you were saying, people feel that they're either one or the other, and it's not necessarily always the case. But what I have done is use ChatGPT to create something for me in my words from a transcript of a video, and then I like take it and then make it more mine, that I've got something to start with. So for me, video is less about selling, because that happens if somebody wants to buy from you, but more about proof of life, proof of who you are, proof that you're established, or that your heart is in what you're doing, or that you're walking your talk. And I think it's so valuable for that. I think people should absolutely come to you to get going with it, because they will be missing out on so much that is for them. The other thing I think as well, not to make this all about me, but the other thing is, I believe that we've all got souls that we are here to help, and not everybody resonates with everybody. And so we've got to create a bit of a lighthouse so that people can find us, because we only want to find the people that relate to us. We don't want to find the people that just want our service. We want somebody that wants us and our service, because then it's so symbiotic. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think, there's a few things to touch on. There's like why is video so important and what role it plays, and kind of how much it leads itself into things like sales and other elements of the business. And I would completely agree with you. And I actually
Thank God.
that I think that it's very much something, it's a medium that you can use in different places in your business, but if you don't have those foundations in your business, where you've got your messaging, right, and you've got the offer right, and you have like proof of that, and you're doing your, sales and marketing activity that is going to generate and convert leads, video isn't going to come in and help change all of that. What it does is it builds upon those foundations to make all of those work better for you, because of, like you say, the trust element of seeing someone and hearing them. And in this day and age of people using AI so much, that this is really one of the only ways that you can present your ideas in an original way, because you are the original, you are the original brain. And I've also heard a lot of people complaining of copywriting and taking someone's ideas and their posts and their content and just literally reposting them as if it's their own work, and it's terrible. But a little part of me is thinking, if you just prioritize video that bit more, you're making it so much harder for someone to copy you, and you're really able to lean into who you are as well, because you've got confidence on this medium with expressing yourself on video, that you're leaving yourself less vulnerable to that kind of thing happening.
Absolutely, you're so right. Nobody can be you, and I think, it's an old saying, people buy people. There are people that I've met and thought, how can I work with that person? I really, really, I'd love to work with you, Laura, but I don't think I'm your target market. I'm already flying, but I would definitely recommend people to you without a shadow of a doubt, because you are exactly, we had a little conversation off air, but I knew before interviewing you, we've never spoken before, but I knew what I see is what I get because of how you show up on video, and you genuinely want to help people. You are putting so much good information out there that people could be away and running just by going into your catalogue of posts over the last year or two. If they just binge watch Laura, they'd be able to go, right, okay, I just need to set up, I just need to do this, I just need to speak to the camera, so I'm speaking to a friend. They could be away. So, but I love what I see of you, and I would love to work with you, even though I don't have a need. Even though I think I don't have a need. You're probably right, actually, Lisa. I can point out 7 needs already. So I think people do by people, and I think too many people talk about what it is they do and less about the unique relationship or what it feels to work with somebody. I did a video the other day about because I'm being guided by Google's questions. And I did a video about how to choose the right trainer for you, because the kind of training that I do is 7 days long and the 16-hour days. And so people are firewalking right at the end of the day. And sometimes we start with a sunrise firewalk. So we're like up from 4 till midnight. We've got to have our energy up there. And I did a little video on, speak to people, check out their videos and see if you like them. Because if you are in a training room and the person at the front gets right on your nerves, it's a long old week. And so... So I think video is really good for, and there are so many of my competitors out there that just have a whole block of text and no video. And I think it shows, well, they don't have evidence to prove that they're the number one something company in the country, because there is absolutely nothing there of any images of them doing the thing that then they haven't run any courses yet. I can't see it alive. And so I think that people are missing out massively. I've just realised I've been talking for a long time. I'm going to listen back to this and chop me out.
No, not at all. No, it gives me space to think of how I'll respond anyway. So yeah, I agree with you. And you bring up a point that's probably one of people's fears, right? That there's an element of actually someone might watch your video and decide not to work with you because something about you just doesn't vibe with them. And I think that that's quite scary, that thought to someone, that actually there's a safety element to keeping everything in text, or or maybe you've got great branding and you've got photos that express that you've kind of almost decided how you want to come across, and maybe you want to kind of please people, and you can manipulate text quite well, and you can manipulate images, because they're just that fraction of a second that someone's caught you in a certain and you put on your face for the day, and you've chosen your outfits for the day, and it's very hard to fake a video. So there's probably an element that people are scared of putting themselves out there in that way because it feels more vulnerable, and yeah, the rejection is scarier, and they're not as able to kind of manipulate their brand image because you can't manipulate video to that extent. But having said that, a lot of what I talk about, I say getting your vibe on video, and it's not always that what we're looking to do is take an element of it is, yes, being able to be your natural, authentic self on video. That's kind of, yeah, one of the things. But actually, is how you're showing up on video aligned with how you want to be perceived? And if it's not, then why isn't it? Because there might be a bit of disconnect between what we naturally feel like we want to do, or if I say, set up your smartphone and just shoot a video now, and actually is that then lining up with your brand, how your business is pitched, who it's pitched towards, and that kind of thing. So it doesn't mean that video can't also align with your brand. Actually, it should do. It should be that blend between who you actually are and people understanding that, but also presenting yourself how you want to be presented and how you want to be perceived. And that doesn't mean that you're lying to people. It just means that you're showing up in the right way for the right people, because you're not here for everyone. So
Exactly, and you're not accidentally doing something that gets in your way. And just going to your point about people worrying about that they may get rejection. Well, rejection's great because I think that's part of branding, isn't it? If you appeal to everybody, you're appealing to no one. And so you want to have people that think, no, she's not for me. Because I don't want those people on my courses if I'm not the best person for them and therefore somebody else is. I want them to find that somebody else. I want them to find their person. And I want people that relate to the way that I deliver to be on the course. So I want people to look at my videos and think, yeah, she's lovely, but she's not for me. Or there's something about her that I just feel I get. And so I think I think I've got 840 videos on YouTube, and there are some that go back to, I don't know, 2015. I thought, oh my God, I want to remove those. And I thought, no, you're allowed to show growth, Lisa. Don't think you've got to be perfect. So I think that don't be afraid of the rejection, I would say. What would your tips be about people that are not doing video in case they get rejected or that they don't appeal to everybody?
I mean, I think that it's funny how like the mind works, and it creates a lot of scenarios of this happening that aren't actually in tune with reality.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a big, and this is the thing about this chase for virality, which I think like most people I'm listening, I'm assuming aren't
just say
doing
that again. Chase for what?
Virality to
No.
this idea with social media that the bigger your audience and the more views and the more the more people engage with you, that equals success.
Yeah.
And but it's in those instances where you are going for big numbers and a big amount of influence where you're going to come up. It's like a numbers game. You're probably going to come up to more rejection the more the bigger your audience. But most people, I'm assuming that are listening or watching aren't that isn't the goal. They know that they just want to serve their people. So actually, unless they're bothered about this mass appeal, which will come with also I suppose like there's that there's a saying for it, isn't there, that for there's always an opposite to whatever there is. If there's all these people that like you, there's always going to be these people that dislike you. It's literally impossible to be liked by everybody. But we're going for much smaller groups of people, and yeah, like this idea that success is attached to size of audience or whatever, or size of influence is just wrong, isn't it? Like so many more people are successful in the way that a lot of people would perceive success, in terms of aligning with your kind of personal and professional goals, as well as the financial success, from just appealing to the people that they actually want to work with. So success actually comes from the opposite. It comes from like people not wanting to work with you because you're so focused on the ones that do. Like, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
you're bringing the message to the people that need to hear it. And we spoke a little bit about the style of like production that I use, which tends to be I mean, it's maybe more intentional than it comes across. I have like what you would call higher production values when I'm doing anything that is what like called long form. When I use this setup that I'm using now, I've got a proper video camera, but for my content I use my smartphone, and I have this more low, raw style of video content that I do. I can't remember what point I was going to make it about it, but it's because
I think we're going to say that you because we had a conversation off there, because I was saying to Laura about how I love how her marketing matches the audience. So I know Laura off LinkedIn, and Laura's messaging is all about come on, get going, just get out there, get started. You don't need to have everything in place first. And so therefore your videos look like you've just shot it, even though I know Laura a little bit better than that there's no way she's just shot it. But because there's been a lot more consideration in so your message lands with the people that you want it to. So I think you were starting to say there's a lot more consideration going into your LinkedIn videos than it looks.
Yeah, well, also the fact that, like you say, it's being pitched to the right audience. So I want to attract people that already have, an existing business, but they really want to lead into their ability to lead. They want to increase their influence. They do want to increase their demand, whatever that means for them, whether they've got, goals to do public speaking, which obviously videos is great to highlight your ability to speak. Other goals in their business that are maybe more marketing and sales related, whatever that looks like for you at that point, but that you do not have to, like my message is that you don't have to rely on, or you don't have to throw thousands of pounds at it. You don't have to hire out a studio. You don't need someone to come in and talk to you for I don't know 2 days a year and create all your content, but it be like super high production. Because for me, I find it more successful with clients, to not put, not necessarily not to put the investment in, but not to be reliant on videos that have these high production values or the need for them, and to be reliant on someone else to do it for you, or to have to like pay out and invest every time, when I think that the much bigger skill is just being able to do it, being able to speak on camera, really thinking about your message, how you communicate that. I think for the people that have the goals that I'm thinking that they do, that will be much more important for them to actually have an element of learning these skills themselves and becoming better on camera and better at articulating their message, and know different methods or tools that they can use to do that, even if I'm the one that ends up kind of finishing it off and doing the bigger part of it. If they're a production client, if I create the content for them, there's still a learning element of it. So because their goal is something much bigger and much more long term than let's just get some content out there, if that makes sense. So I would probably put off people that do like that kind of high production look and polish, and with lots of kind of editing and whizzy kind of videos that are doing all sorts. That they'll probably think, oh, what's this that I'm looking at? Like she's on a smartphone or whatever, and so but that's a good thing, because that isn't the service that I offer either. So if someone came to me and did want that, then I wouldn't be able to make them. I wouldn't be able to give them what they wanted, and that means that it's not a result. And I'm always focused on, more than anything, getting the right result for the client, because I think that that's the way that you build a long-term sustainable business.
Absolutely. Result and promise first, and profit secondary. Who is who if somebody was listening now, how would you describe the people that you help, so that somebody can think, oh yeah, that's me, or no, that's not me, or yeah, that's me? How would you paint a picture of who you can help and who you do help?
So they would probably call themselves a founder or a business owner. Whether they're managing the business at that point, varies. But they would have started the business based on their experiences and their expertise. So even if they've managed to scale a business, it's still very much that they are the face of their business. It's not that they've created a business and they're scaling it to exit it. It's something that they're passionate about. It's something that's based on their expertise and their personality almost. Whether they've leveraged it or not at that point. And that's something that they want to continue. And maybe they've got some other projects, or maybe this is their main one or their main business, and but they really understand the value of being that face, and they're kind of comfortable enough with that idea, but they've not been comfortable enough to express their ideas in video as consistently as maybe they want to, and with as much intention as they want to. So that would be the kind of person. So I suppose they could be a solopreneur, but they're more likely to be a business owner with some kind of help, some kind of small team, and they're really thinking long term how they can build. I don't necessarily like the idea of personal brand. I think that that's quite or it can be off-putting to some people, because they think that it would mean that they have to share everything about their lives. And I actually like the more traditional idea of thought leadership, and actually just communicating your ideas in video and becoming the person that people would come to for your specific expertise, for your specific experience. And obviously, like the more niche that is, and the more industry specific and the more specific to you, the better, really, in a kind of like long-term view.
There's two things I want to ask before I forget. One is, what is it about the way that you work with people that lends that to your audience? If somebody thought about working with you and they're nervous about being in front of camera, they feel awkward about it, what is it about your style that helps dissolve that so that they can be in their flow? What can they expect from you?
Yeah, you know what? I always feel like, yes, there's some mindset shifts to have, but I'm much more that you build this confidence through taking action. And it's less about the theory, or it's less about, having this conversation and uncovering this mindset thing that's holding you back and trying to overcome that. It's actually, okay, well, let's just look at what your goal is, break it down to that first step, and actually just do that first thing that you need to do to then move on to the next step. And with video, there is several different ways that you can be on video or create content, and it's more based on like a method of doing it. And actually, I find that people are drawn to a specific method of doing it that feels comfortable for them, that it allows them to take the first step. And so I feel like that's what a lot of that's what gets missed out. For example, people have, business coaches or strategists, or they've signed up to some mentoring that's telling them to do video, but there's not many people actually saying, well, this is how you can do it that's going to suit you and where you're currently at. They don't, just saying it and expecting someone to do it is two different things. So there's actually when I work with a client, it's never just on one specific style of content. So if I am creating, we'll do these kind of improvised videos that are based on quite a strategic conversation that we have, and I pull out clips from that. So you get the message in the editing side of it, but also what I'll do with that content, I'll rewrite it into scripts, so you get the more structured version. So you've got both that, okay, this is someone's flow, this is someone's ideas, this is, their natural way of delivering, but actually when those ideas are thought about more and structured, you also get this kind of scripted, more polished version of them as well. And they can kind of choose which one maybe they want to bring forward. But then on the other side of the teaching, I would teach 4 different methods of creating videos, where you do these different things. You try something that's more improvised. You look at how you can sequence a video on, and how you can record and kind of sequence your ideas together. You look at a video that's more planned. You look at a video that's completely structured, and you look at another video that's edited quite a lot for the message to land the right way, and the right bits cut out of it that need to be cut out for in order for it to flow. So it's actually quite technical in a way to find to really just put in your skill set and find a way of doing it that works for you personally, and then working on that. So for me, I think my stronger suit is actually going back to I mean, you said that you enjoy speaking first and then using those spoken words to create your written ideas. Now, I actually like writing ideas down first, and I think that I present them better when they are thought about more and I've planned them out. So when I was really building up my consistency with doing video, I was doing a lot of scripted videos. So I was planning out word for word, and I learned how to deliver that to camera. And I have a bit of like a drama background, so I liked the whole performative element that I could put into the videos, because I'd already thought about my words, so I wasn't worrying about what the words were. I was thinking about how I could present them. And after I got really confident with doing that, and people kind of responded well to those videos, my next goal has been, okay, how can I now deliver my ideas in a way that's more off the cuff, a bit more improvised, a little bit more natural maybe, and less performative. So so that was like the way that my goals were. Okay, I started here with these scripted videos, and then I kind of advanced almost, or just added to the skill set with doing things that are more improvised, and learning I mean, I'm not doing a very good job now, but learning how to slow down my pace, learning how to use less filler words. And I've still got a lot of work to do in that area to finish a sentence and not to carry on. But that's how it worked for me. For other people, it might be the other way around, where they feel like they're actually quite good when they're not overthinking and it's just off the cuff. But when they want to be disciplined with their ideas, that's what they find difficult. So it's really about, yes, start finding that starting point, but just giving you all these different ideas and ways that you can do it, so you don't feel like, oh, I tried doing this and I was rubbish at it, so I'm rubbish at videos, because that isn't the case. It's just about finding the way that's right for you.
Yeah, I think I love everything that you've said there, and I think the thing I love the most is your admittance to being work in progress. Because I think anybody who thinks they're not another finished article, I steer away from. I love people that think, oh yeah, I need to stop doing that, or start doing that, or work on this next. I love that. And I would want to be trained or coached or mentored by somebody who is that self-aware and that proactive with their own growth. I love that. And that there's different ways of working, of starting off with off the cuff and then doing some structured and then progressing, I think is great. I always think about when I'm thinking about doing a video is, what is it I want people to know? What is it I want them to feel? And what are my brand values? So when you talk about personal brand, I can understand that we don't need to know about your recent trauma in order to bond with you. You know, that's not necessary. You don't have to be that vulnerable. I just need to feel that that you're living and breathing your brand values, and they're not a marketing ploy. Oh, it's great to say we put people first. Well, where do you put people first? What is it you're doing? What can I see and feel about that? So when I think about personal branding, I think if you've got your own business, then your brand actually is your own personal values. Well, they can't be separate, otherwise you're becoming someone else to do the work, which is what I see you do very well. That I can see that your values might be something like flexibility, they might be drive and fun. You know, I see you being you in your videos, and I think that our brand, our business brand and our personal brand has to come from our own values. So I kind of just check in. When I'm looking at one of my videos, what's the outcome I want from this? What's the point of this video? Because if somebody said, you need to have more videos on your website, yeah, but what's their purpose? What do you want the video to do? What do you want it to show? What do you want it to prove? Or what do you want it to demonstrate? Or what do you want people to get from it? And then how much have I made it about me? I watched a video of one of my competition the other day, and clearly he was confident, but his content, I couldn't tell you what his content was other than bragging about why he was the best trainer. And what I love is to work out, what is it that my students want? What vision have they got? What works for them? So, I was Dale Carnegie trained when I did sales in my past life. And Dale Carnegie says, always speak on the client's agenda. What's in it for them? Why listen? Why talk?
When you've got that bit, you say about kind of this person that wants to get across because they want to kind of convince people, but actually, once you've got those values and you know how to bring those values to whatever you do, and you're just checking in with yourself when you're creating a video, then that is what gets communicated. Your values will be communicated once they've been considered. You don't have to say the thing.
No.
That is what's communicated. So that's why I don't have to tell you that it's fun to work with me, because the idea is that I put across the fun element in the way that I show up, so people know that's what they're going to get. And if they're a serious person, maybe it won't work so well. And I create quite a lot of videos that have a lot of humor in them, but yeah, it's very much less about what is said and more about as what's communicated with the way that you come across. So it doesn't mean that you have to end up bragging, and you can approach it from this side of what the client is. But again, it is a balance, isn't it? Because it's like, yes, you're always talking from the client's point of view, but because people buy people, there needs to be that element of them seeing you so that you get that connection. So you're kind of doing both at the same time, but the client side is more with the message and the actual words that you use, and are those going to appeal to that client, and are you thinking about that? And your communicative is in kind of your verbal communication, your visual communication, your style of video creation in terms of how you set up as well as the output of it is going to be the bit that communicates your personal values. So once you've kind of already thought about those, and that's what I call your video vibe, then you can do any kind of content for different purposes, like you say, website or videos or lead magnets or videos for your landing pages or training or whatever. Once you have those values, you can say so many different things for different purposes, but it's still going to communicate that same bit that you want it to, when it comes to who you are as a person, and as well as your brand and your business.
I could talk about this all day. Where my mind just went then is, and also using video I have it in my customer journey when somebody has booked something with me, a Firewalk, for example, or even a training course, they get a video saying, so it still continues. The videos don't stop at this end. It still continues with, as though I'm talking just to them. And then after they've done the training, there's also a video. And quite often, I will have a new video for after the training. It won't just be like, well, that video that I've had there for 2 years. I will create a new one that's specific to their training, pretty much most of the time. And then they've got that continuity of, it's good consistency, isn't it? Let's ask some practical questions then for anybody listening that's thinking, oh, I might pick up the camera or I might pick up my phone. I'm going to speak from my own point of view. LinkedIn, I'm putting a video a day up. They're anything from 30 seconds to... Is there a specific length of time on LinkedIn that gets in front of more people?
Yeah, so I'm in experiment mode all the time. So
I
I will
know.
so I do quite a lot of different things for my own purpose as well as what I can bring to clients. I think that with most social media, people are often, especially if you're kind of building your audience and um getting known by people and they're kind of building up that connection, shorter content works better. So my content was performing better in the sense of kind of I really felt that there was a lot of momentum, there was growth in my audience, yes, but actually in people interested to work with me and leads and things came from shorter content more regularly. So when I was posting 30-second videos once a day. And the longer videos are great, but only for, well, not only for, but more for a warm audience because they're already, they're already interested. They're going to give you more of their time because they know that they already like your ideas. But those 30-second videos enable someone to really quickly get an impression of who you are. And one reason why text posts might still outperform videos on LinkedIn is just because you can scan text so much quicker than you can videos. So, I mean, I don't know the mathematics of how much, but with videos, you're kind of stuck to the length of someone's delivery, right? So you have to stay with them a bit longer. So to be able to put your message across in less words and more concise, I definitely find that people appreciate that and engage with it more because you're making it easier for them to engage with you because it's taking them less time rather than them having to sit and wait for you to tell them what you want to say, but it takes 5 minutes. By that time they probably won't have got that far, but if they did, you've kind of taken up quite a lot of their time and energy that they're less likely to engage. And obviously engagement does help with more people seeing you and audience growth.
Do you think there's a particular time of day for a different length? When do you put yours out?
Oh. Well, I like we
Is this
spoke
when you're
about
going to
before.
say, just when I feel like it? I've recorded it. I feel like we're opening a closet here and something's going to tumble out.
Yeah. Um, I would say ideally, again, not always based on what I'm practicing currently. I think that videos posted in the morning perform better if you've got an audience that's in the same time zone at least
Yeah. When you
as
said
you.
the morning's is 12 hours. Which part
Yeah.
of the morning?
I, I,
You mean whilst
I,
people are still in bed? Like, would people watch video whilst they're still in bed waking up?
You
Well, I
know
would
what?
because I'm on my own.
I once wrote out like how when you're thinking of your ideal client and you're writing out
The
exactly kind of
avatar.
who they are, their avatar, what their day looks like. So if I'm thinking of that, then I would post it for when I think that person would be active or a little bit before they would be active. So actually me posting at 7 o'clock, like I imagine that my my audience will probably be parents and have other things going, other
Yeah.
responsibilities. They're not going to be active at 7 a.m. So why would I post at 7 a.m. if they're busy on the school run? I would post a little bit later. But having said that, I'm not a massive, like, I don't, again, I think that posting times is something that, like, if, for example, it's not ideal to post at the end of the day, or I've not found as much traction at the end of the day, but I don't let that stop me from posting because then
Yeah.
I'd be waiting the next day to then post again. So anything that removes your ability to just put your message out there, yeah, I would not focus too much on.
I love that. I love that because again, we can get caught up with, right, well, when's the exact time? And do you find scheduling videos works better or actually putting it in live works better?
I definitely, um, I mean, I've not done loads of experiment recently, but there is still an idea that when you're posting via like third party software, like scheduling
Mm.
tools, then it cuts off your reach a little bit. And most social media channels like the native approach of uploading videos. Um, so yeah, but I'm really not sure how much there is linked. So native videos definitely, and generally responding to people that have taken the time to, leave comments and things helps long term, but it's kind of more of like a bigger picture. It's not an immediate, like I've noticed that the videos that get the most engagement are when you have like what you'd call a warm engaged audience that engage with your content anyway, because they know that they're going to get something back from it, whether it's just a little bit of a quip and it's a little bit of humor, but they feel like there's a reason for doing it. Whereas if you consistently put out videos and don't then engage with people
Yeah.
that comment on them,
Yeah.
or talk about them in other ways, or reference them or whatever it might be, then they don't feel that much attachment to it, and they'll just like, I know that I've done it when I've like commented on people's content that I've liked, and if there's been quite a few instances I've not heard back at all like from them, I'd be like, oh, what's the point
Yeah.
then?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's more important than anything, like to think of what you create as something that helps someone, that maybe provokes a conversation, they're not actually being interested about what their perceptions of that was, or if they're going
Mm.
to add to the conversation or thank them for their input in this idea that you've put out there, and see it kind of more of a building a community thing as
Yeah.
opposed to, oh, I'm just putting out because I want to share my ideas. It's more of a, like, it's almost like, yeah, like a group effort. You're the one that's putting an idea that you've had, but for the benefit of other people. Like, that's how
Yeah.
I would see it.
You do that so well. You do it so well, Laura.
Thank you.
And I think another thing I just wanted to say was about when my friends have said, "Oh, I want to do a video," but yeah, I don't feel ready. I think it's often about answering this question: what is it you don't want people to think about you? Because I think that question that sits, the answer to that question sits in our unconscious, that blocks us taking action, doesn't it? So I think if people are listening and thinking, oh, I want to do a video, but I'm worried about what is that specifically, I would get people to think about what is it specifically you don't want people to think about you. And then when that comes to the surface, think, well, that's all right. That's not a lot. That's hardly a reason not to do it. But whilst it's still in the unconscious, it's still in the driving seat, and we're still parked on the drive because of that. The answer to that is sitting within us, blocking us. What's the number one reason you come across that people have realised that has blocked them from doing video, and then when they've realised it, they've just flown afterwards? I don't know whether you've got that straight to mind.
I think there's definitely what you said about identifying what that worry is for them. That is a big part of it, because I have created plenty of videos or helped clients with videos, and so they're all there ready, but they've not got to the point of posting them. So actually sometimes it's not about the video creation itself, it's just really about mindset. But I'm not qualified enough to be able to necessarily help them with that if it goes quite deep, what their fear is, apart from maybe offer them something practical to help kind of warm them up to the idea. So it might be something like, if it's like just their face being out there, could they just start by sending video messages or making video an internal thing that just the kind of the people already in their their client base or whatever will see before it kind of goes public, and those practical things. But even at that point, there's still, yeah, like I say, a lot of videos that I've created that are sitting there and haven't been seen because people are just, they're having a crisis of confidence or mindset blocks over just the posting side. But then sometimes it's just a fact of, it's just a matter of building momentum up, I think, and really there's like a feedback loop that you get from when you start posting and people react to your ideas in a way that doesn't align with maybe how you think it will be, that they're going to criticize you or criticize something about a video, whether that's a something to do with the practical element, or they're disagreeing with your whatever you're saying. That happens so infrequently, and it's so much more likely that people will be positive. That feedback of positivity, and then that might just be, you know, a like or a comment, then turns into something like, oh my God, this was really helpful, I needed to see this today, then turns into someone booking a call with you that you know didn't know and you didn't have to reach out to, but they've warmed up to you, then, you know, leads to more things, and that's what encourages you. But you need to get kind of onto that. You need to do the first bit to get to start getting that feedback loop. So often it's just a building momentum thing, and just getting going with it, and then you get into that like positive feedback loop. And the way that you get going with it is by finding this method that's going to work with you, thinking about your values, and kind of bringing your message with intention.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things I heard somebody say as well is, oh, there's some past employers on there and I don't want them to think. And I went, what? What don't you want them to think? And do they have to be on there? Can you not just disconnect? If your idea of what they think is blocking you posting, just remove them. And if they're not your audience, I mean, they won't know they've been disconnected. But and that's for some people that might have set up their own business and left a job. What's the other thing I was going to say linked to what you said? Oh, yeah, I think done is better than not done and perfect. You know, just get going. When, like I said to you earlier, if you look back at my videos going back, I look like somebody's got me at gunpoint because I'm wanting to make sure that I am taken seriously. What I look like, if anybody watches and doesn't feel resistant to what I'm saying back however many years ago, I'd be surprised. But starting somewhere, one of the tricks I do before I begin is I smile, I do a big smile. And then I make sure I'm smiling all the way through, because sometimes when we're thinking about what we're saying, we can forget to smile. And not everybody's got a pretty resting bitch face. Not everybody's gifted with that. And then the other thing I do is I look into the camera and imagine just one person watching, because people are only watching one person at a time, aren't they? So I look at that green dot and I imagine that I'm speaking heart to heart with somebody, which goes back to making sure everything has purpose and intention, like you said. And then there's people that will watch all of your videos, all of my videos, and you will never know about it. But then occasionally I get emails from people to say, I don't comment, but I just want you to know that I watch all your videos and they're really helpful. And I have no idea.
Yeah.
A friend of mine the other day needed a little bit of reminding of who she was, and she said, so I just put one of your videos on it. Well, it didn't matter what you were saying. I just needed to hear your voice, because then it connects me into me liking myself or whatever it is. So people use our videos in ways that we can never prepare for, just as long as we're speaking from the heart. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's focusing on all the people that are taking. And you won't always know, but you do get those little clues that people are listening and taking it in, and it's helping them, and just focusing on those people and not the other people that will be judging. And there's that saying, isn't there, about whether you do or you don't, people will judge. So, you know, if you were to never do videos, maybe you'll be safe, but you'll never reach your goals, and that means that you'll have used it to, like, those people's judgments will have held you back, and that's worse than them judging you, which they would do regardless, and you not achieving what you want to achieve.
And it's only what we think they're thinking.
Yeah.
Know what we think they're thinking, unless they actually write it down and then more fool them. Carry on. I just wait to.
Yeah, and there was one thing that also came to mind is yes, there's the way that you kind of like communicate and doing it with intention and purpose, like we've spoken about. But actually, what is that point of um where could you start that feels quite safe for you in terms of your actual messaging, your content? So yes, your aim might be that you want to increase your thought leadership so that you can, you know, create this engaged audience that you can have influence in, you can create demand for the things that you put out into the world, all that kind of stuff. But that might seem quite far away and quite scary. So where could you start that isn't scary and it feels like quite a safe place? So it might still feel a bit scary to be on video, but in terms of the content. So I had a client where his actual so he had his kind of like expertise and he was a bit unsure about or a bit, it wasn't that he was unsure about it at all, because he knew exactly what he was talking about, but just a little bit scared about the reaction of people in his industry. But one of his goals was also, or one of the side things that he did was tennis, and he had like this passion for tennis. And I was like, what if we just did all your videos that were just for now about tennis? And would you see it differently if you were just talking, you know, about tennis and maybe business lessons from that, or how you can kind of like apply what you do training to your, and you know, something like that. So I think that that's also a great method to get you started, is to find that point of comfort that you can talk about something. So yeah, so if you have ex colleagues and ex employers, or family, or people that you're worried about, what would be something that you can talk about that feels quite safe to talk about, and then you can build up from there.
Love that. I love that. I love that. What do you do that you can refer to and then relate to? Because then that is that person's experience, isn't it? I used to worry that people would say, "You're wrong, Lisa," especially at the beginning. And I thought, but no, I can't be wrong with my own stories.
Mm.
So I absolutely took that brilliant piece of advice 20 years ago. Well, I didn't do it 20 years ago, but the idea of standing on a stage and somebody saying, well, that's a load of rubbish, or what, but no, it's not. That's my truth. That the army did do that. The army did say that when I worked with the solicitors, they did have that experience. So nobody can say, when you're talking from experience and relating it to how you translate it into, nobody can say that that's not true. I flipping love that advice. If people want to work with you, which I imagine they do, how can they go about it, darling? I know we'll put the link to your website and your email address and whatever other digits you want to put in there. We'll put that in the description box. But what's the best way they can approach you?
So I'm
With
active.
caution.
Yeah. I'm active on LinkedIn. I'm not very active on the other channels. It's like I say, a work in progress. I'm always like master one channel before moving on to the other. So always connecting on LinkedIn. I've got quite a lot of free resources. I also have a kind of like free mini package that people might be interested in, where we have a conversation that's like this one, and I show you how to create, well, I create for you clips from that conversation, or a clip, you choose from them your favorite one, and it just shows you how you can it shows you the potential for what you can do with videos, basically. So a really kind of like comfortable, easy setting that's recorded in high quality, that I create a short video for you from, using the best bit. And then yeah, and the idea is that you post that one out there, and then that's the start of the momentum built, and you'll also have a better idea then if it's something that yeah, the idea is that it just gets you over that,
Absolutely.
get over that fear of starting, or the things that are stopping you starting, that you've got something there that I've produced for you, where you sound your best, and look your best, because we do the setup and things. So yeah, if anyone's interested in that, go and look for that. It's called Scene in 15, because it's a 15-minute conversation that produces multiple videos, but one video that you're going to post out there to get you
Isn't it
started.
15? And because it's in like, is it a conversation and that you leave a gap and then somebody answers?
Exactly.
And then, because lots of people do very well if they're talking to somebody, not, but they feel a bit strange just talking to the screen. I love that. What a brilliant package, darling. Okay, so I will put, and you've got a website.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will put all of that. What's one closing statement, sentence, bit of wisdom you can give to the world?
Ooh. I think that your ideas matter and your voice matters more than you think that it does. And people need to hear from you and need to listen more than you can imagine that they do. Because we all think it's kind of a noisy world and there's so much going on, but there's a lot of the wrong things going on. Because you're bringing your heart into things, you're bringing your experience, you're bringing your expertise, you're trying to help people. We can't have enough of that. And so if you imagine someone is stuck in a mindset or a thinking that's not serving them, and you can be that bridge for them that helps them to achieve something, that's an amazing thing. And that's why this matters.
Brilliant. I love that. I love it. Thank you so much, Laura. I've loved this conversation. I hadn't quite realised we've actually been on air an hour and 20 minutes. What a high value conversation. Thank you so much, darling. I really
Thank you
appreciate
so
your
much for
time.
having me. I'm always a bit, like I say, I'm more of a planner. And so that's my comfort. So doing something off the cuff, I'm like, am I just going to drivel on and it'll be useless? So I'm hoping that that's not the case. Thank you for that feedback, and thank you so much for hosting.
Oh, you're so welcome. Well, you put up with me interrupting you with my Tourette's, so thank you, darling.
Okay, bye, Lisa.